Good morning, everybody. So if you're just joining us for a live video, during Hurricane Ian, we were hit with a bunch of rain bands, and the canal system kind of backed up, wasn't draining. So everything from the swales pretty much got poured into our property, and we took on a lot of water. We were up to about 10 inches at the back of this shed in particular. This is where we store a lot of our hay and grain. And today we finally were able to get in here. The waters receded out of there. You guys can see the wood in the back. It's completely soaked. The pallets pretty much rotted at this point. There was so much water back there. But what I want to teach is the hay that was remaining got damp, obviously. The ones on the bottom more so than others. But what I want to show you guys is the danger that can happen from something like this. So it doesn't matter if you had a leak in your roof over where you store your hay, whether or not you have floods, or you're just putting your hay on the ground. Especially in South Florida, it gets really humid, really hot here. So today I yoinked out some of the rest of the bottom hay bales because I walked by one, I smelled something, and I recognized it from a long time ago and what somebody once told me. So I'm going to start with this hay bale right here. It was one of the ones on the bottom. Up close you can see it's really damp. You can't see it as well on the camera, but you can see the water line right here. There it is, how much soaked in it was. And the rest of this is actually really damp too, just not as saturated. But I'm out here because if you leave these hay bales sitting, you can see mold's already starting to set in this zone here. But your biggest issue isn't the water, it's what comes next. These hay bales create heat inside of them, and as that heat builds, these hay bales will actually at one point begin to combust. So I have a flare gun here, and I want to show you guys just how hot these things are. They're 111 degrees. If I shoot this on my leg, I'm at 86. So if this day would have heated up, see, it's already cooling down really fast now that I busted it. If this day heats up and these hay bales were still in there today, that's 116 degrees on that flake. 105 on that flake. If you leave these things in your barn, this is only, I believe, 2 days now, you will have a barn fire and you will lose your entire farm over a bale of hay. It's never worth it. So I'm going to cut open another bale right here, and I want to show you guys. This is just barely, it looks like it's barely wet. You know, we like to try to use these still to put over muddy areas and things like that. And luckily, you know, we were out here this morning and saw, and I know that smell that comes with it. This one's actually better. This one's only 87, so not every bale will be the same way. This one's 93, so it really depends on where they are. But I wanted to show you guys because I knew that bale was super hot, and I opened one in the wheelbarrow just to see. So make sure when your hay gets wet, you're pulling them out of your barn fast, because they will literally sit there and combust throughout the day, and you'll lose everything you have. You'll lose your animals. So please be careful when you store hay, when it gets damp. If you put it away before it's completely dried out, if you're fresh baling, you know, this is one of the dangers that always will lurk in any barn, and you just got to be super careful. We're going to cut open a few more because I'm going to use it all in these muddy zones everywhere all over our property today. But I want you guys to see that not every bale may be the same, but they can pose just as much of a danger. Yeah, this one's pretty cool to the touch. Yeah, that one's okay. But that one over there was one that would have probably started it, and the one I originally cut open as well would have done a number. Yeah, these are pretty hot too. So let's see where these are. This one's 94. You can see on the bottom where it's wet, whereas the top it may have looked okay. 94. So please, you guys, always 97. You know, we got it. If we would have had sunlight, this would have just sat there and baked, and by the end of the day I would have literally lost everything in that shed. We got lucky. We lost all of our hay that we had just bought. We bought bundles of hay. We lost all of our grain because we use metal cans because of rodent problems, and unfortunately with the metal cans, water seeps in. Yeah, this one's not too hot. This one's actually pretty decent. But there it is. You have 1, 2, and I bet you that one right over there will be nice and hot too. So just by getting it out of there, breaking it open, they'll cool down, and then I don't have to worry about a fire danger here any longer. But let this be a lesson to everybody, because we had the ability to show you and teach you. That way it never happens to you. Because once a hay fire starts, they're almost impossible to put out. They pretty much have to burn themselves out. And they take a while, because they will sit there and they will smolder. This one's starting to heat up. So I'd assume this one's probably 80s to 90s in this bill. I'm going to check the last one. Just because I want nothing going wrong while we're not here. Because we have to run to the vet this morning. Oh yeah, this is a hot bill. And I would have not have guessed that one. This one's 89 at that point. Let's find a warmer spot. 89. This one was starting to crank up. 86. Let's go back to that hot bell that we had a second ago. Just seeing if we break it up. It's still at 90 degrees. Let's check one of these spots where I didn't do it. Still at 98 degrees. 101. And these flakes weren't even fanned out, but they've been sitting here open while we did this. 92. 90. 95. 80. 97. 113 right here on this one spot. 96. 111. So please just keep that in mind. Share it if you want, but keep in mind this is always going to be a fire hazard. Hay does not work like other things. Once it's wet, it begins to conduct its own heat, especially if they're still dry there. And then that heat just turns into smolder, and then next thing you know, you have a really serious problem. I always suggest that you always have a alarm or something in your barns, in your hay bale, in your hay sheds. Sorry guys, I'm out of breath this morning. Just so it kind of goes off when there's a certain temperature point. I know it'll go off a lot if you have heat, but keep in mind, this is what happens. Now, this stuff down here on the bottom is soaking wet. And it will also still conduct heat. This is nasty, by the way, guys. This is so slimy. This is all from the flood water. And you know, I hope none of this ever happens to any of you guys. Now I just put down the thermometer. Don't know what to do with it. That's really smart of me, huh? Let's see what we can do here. But even down in here, see it right there? Right there. That's why you have to make sure you get in here soon and get things cleaned up. So you guys can literally see the steam right there and smoke. And I'm going to find the temperature gun. So hopefully, let's see what the heck I just did with it. I think I'll be able to see it. It's bright yellow. Alright then, I'm completely blind because I set it down and now I've covered it up and I don't see it. 10 points for me. This is what I get for going into a dark shed this morning. So I'm going to leave this sitting here for a second so you guys can see the heat coming off of that. And I will find my lost soul self and see if we can find the temperature of the gauge real quick. Ah, come on. Here it is. Yay! Alright, so we just saw that and it was smoldering. It's at 95 degrees. Make sure I'm pointing at the right spot. 97 degrees. So I'm going to make it a nice hot spot again up underneath here so we can see more of this smoky stuff come out. because I know it's nice and hot. 98, 104, 102. And get right in here where I know it's hot, because where it's been cooking. 107, 100. So I don't know if you guys can see the steam smoke on there. I'm going to move this pallet and stand it up. If there's a snake, you're going to hear me run screaming because I don't like snakes. But this is perfect conditions for them in here at the moment. I also have to make sure I keep everything here safe. So, alright, you guys are going to see it steaming. Hopefully. Oh my gosh, it smells horrible in here. So I got 99, 92, 96. Let's do the bottom of the pallet. 92, 99, 99. Y'all can see all that coming up. There's the heat steam. You can kind of see it right where this cross swirl is right here. You can kind of see it rising up. So let this be a lesson to everybody. Keep your stuff safe. Keep your stuff dry. If it gets wet, clean it out fast. I know not everybody's kind of like us, but I'd rather teach from things as they go. That way you can learn too. And hopefully this saves somebody from a barn fire one day, or just go at it. If something doesn't smell right with your hay, you know, that nice smell that we use. To me, it just kind of smelled like a little bit of sour smell. And that's my first sign that something's changing in there chemistry-wise. So I bet you these hay bales are still pretty hot. 81, 82, 96. So they're still coming down from their temperature. So you're welcome to share it and hopefully learn from it.